Jack squinted at the sunlight filtering through the thick canopy of Veridian's vibrant forest. The air was heavy with the scent of alien flora, each plant more bizarre and beautiful than the last. He adjusted his backpack and continued deeper into the woods, guided by the beeping of his handheld scanner. "Jack, you picking up anything unusual?" Mia's voice crackled over the comlink. Jack paused to check the scanner. "Yeah, Mia. The signal's getting stronger. Whatever it is, it's not far from here. I'll keep you posted." The dense undergrowth made progress slow, but Jack's curiosity kept him moving forward. Suddenly, the scanner's beeping intensified. He pushed aside a large fern-like plant and gasped. Half buried in the ground was the wreckage of a small alien ship. Smoke still curled from its shattered hull, and the air was filled with the acrid scent of burnt metal. "Holy. Mia, you're not going to believe this. I found a crashed ship." "A ship? Is there anyone there?" Jack stepped closer, his heart pounding. "I'm not sure. Hold on." He carefully navigated the debris, his eyes scanning for any signs of life. As he rounded a large piece of the hull, he froze. Lying amidst the wreckage was a creature unlike anything he'd ever seen. It looked like a dog, but its fur shimmered with iridescent colors, and its eyes held a depth of intelligence that was unmistakable. The poor thing was emaciated and covered in wounds. "Hang in there," little guy Jack murmured, crouching beside the alien dog. "I'm here to help." The dog lifted its head weakly, its eyes locking onto Jack's. He gently scooped the creature into his arms, surprised at how light it was. "Jack, what's going on? Are you okay?" Mia's voice broke through his concentration. "Yeah, I'm okay, but I found something. Someone. It's an alien dog, and it's in bad shape. I'm bringing it back to camp." As Jack made his way back, the dog whimpered softly in his arms. "Sheesh, it's okay. I've got you," he whispered, quickening his pace. When he reached the base camp, Mia was waiting with a look of concern. "Jack, what happened out there?" "I found this little guy near the wreckage. He's hurt and starving. We need to help him." Mia nodded, her eyes widening at the sight of the alien dog. "Wow, I've never seen anything like it. Let's get him into the medbay." They worked quickly, setting up a makeshift bed for the dog and treating its wounds. Jack could see the gratitude in the dog's eyes as they cleaned and bandaged it. "You're going to be okay," Jack reassured the dog, stroking its shimmering fur. "You're safe now." Mia watched with a mixture of fascination and concern. "What do you think happened to him?" Jack shook his head. "I don't know, but whatever it was, he's been through a lot." Over the next few days, Jack and Mia took turns caring for the dog, whom Jack decided to name Lyra. They fed her a special diet to help her regain strength and monitored her progress closely. Despite the initial challenges, Lyra's condition began to improve. "Look at you," Lyra, Jack said one morning, watching as she wagged her tail weakly. "You're getting stronger every day." Mia smiled, kneeling beside them. "She's a fighter, that's for sure. And she seems to have taken quite a liking to you." Jack chuckled. "Yeah, I think we're going to be great friends." As Lyra's health improved, Jack started to notice her extraordinary intelligence and gentle nature. She would follow him around the camp, watching his every move with those soulful eyes. "Hey Lyra," Jack called one afternoon, kneeling beside her. "Want to go for a walk?" Lyra's ears perked up, and she slowly got to her feet, still a bit unsteady but eager to explore. They set off into the forest, Jack guiding her through the familiar paths. "You know, Lyra, I was pretty lonely before you came along," Jack admitted as they walked. "But now it feels like I've got a purpose again." Lyra looked up at him, her eyes filled with understanding. She nuzzled his hand, and Jack felt a warmth spread through his chest. "We're going to figure out what happened to you," Jack promised. "And we're going to make sure you're safe." That evening, as they sat by the campfire, Jack found himself talking to Lyra as if she were an old friend. "I've been on this planet for months studying its ecosystems. It's beautiful, but it can be pretty dangerous too. You and I will look out for each other, okay?" Lyra rested her head on Jack's lap, her eyes closing contentedly. Jack smiled, feeling a deep sense of peace for the first time in a long while. The next day, they ventured out to the crash site again, Jack determined to uncover more about Lyra's past. As they sifted through the wreckage, Jack found a small device that looked like a data recorder. "Jackpot," he muttered, carefully pocketing the device. "Let's see if Mia can make sense of this." Back at the camp, Mia examined the recorder. "This is definitely alien tech. It might take a while, but I think I can retrieve some data from it." "Take your time," Jack said, watching Lyra as she rested nearby. "Whatever we find, it might help us understand where she came from." As Mia worked on the device, Jack continued to explore Veridian with Lyra by his side. Their bond grew stronger with each passing day, and Jack couldn't imagine life without her. One evening, Mia called out to Jack excitedly, "I've got something." Jack hurried over, Lyra trotting beside him. "What did you find?" Mia pointed to the screen. "It looks like this ship was part of an exploration fleet from a planet called Zathura. They were on a mission to map new worlds when something went wrong." "Zathura," Jack repeated, looking at Lyra. "So that's where you're from." Lyra's ears twitched at the name, as if she recognized it. Jack knelt beside her, stroking her fur. "We're going to get you home, Lyra. I promise." The first rays of the morning sun filtered through the alien foliage, casting dappled light on the camp. Jack awoke to the soft nudge of Lyra's nose against his hand. "Hey there, girl," he murmured, sitting up and stretching. "Ready for another day?" Lyra wagged her tail, her eyes bright and alert. Jack smiled, feeling a warmth in his chest. "Let's get some breakfast, then we'll see what Mia's up to." As Jack prepared their meal, Lyra sat by his side, watching his every move. He chuckled, tossing her a piece of dried meat. "You keep staring at me like that, I'll think you're hungry all the time." Lyra caught the meat midair and chewed happily. Jack couldn't help but marvel at how much she'd improved since he found her. Her fur was shinier, her movements more fluid. After breakfast, they made their way to Mia's workstation. She was hunched over the alien device, her fingers flying over the controls. "Morning, Mia. Any luck with that data recorder?" Mia looked up, her eyes glinting with excitement. "Morning, Jack. Actually, yes. I've managed to decrypt part of it. It seems like Lyra's ship was exploring Veridian when they encountered some kind of anomaly." Jack frowned. "Anomaly? What kind?" Mia shrugged. "It's not clear yet. I need more time to decipher the rest. But it seems whatever it was, it caused the ship to crash." Jack nodded, glancing at Lyra. "Well, at least we know a bit more about what happened. Thanks, Mia. Keep me posted." As they left Mia to her work, Jack turned to Lyra. "Let's go for a walk, girl. We both need a break." The forest was alive with sounds and colors, and Jack felt a sense of peace as they walked. Lyra trotted beside him, occasionally darting off to sniff an interesting plant or chase a small creature. "You really love this place, don't you?" Jack said, watching her. "It's beautiful here, I'll give you that." They came to a small clearing with a sparkling stream running through it. Lyra immediately bounded over to the water, lapping it up eagerly. Jack knelt beside her, cupping his hands to drink. As they sat by the stream, Jack found himself talking to Lyra, as if she could understand him. I wasn't sure what to expect when I came to Veridian. But finding you, it's been the best part of this whole expedition." Lyra looked up at him, her eyes filled with a depth of understanding that never ceased to amaze him. She nuzzled his hand, and Jack felt a surge of affection. "I've been thinking," Jack continued. "Once we figure out how to get you back to Zathura, maybe I could come with you, see your home planet. What do you think?" Lyra's tail wagged, and she barked softly, as if in agreement. Jack laughed, scratching her behind the ears. "I'll take that as a yes." They spent the rest of the day exploring the forest, Jack marveling at the vibrant life all around them. Lyra seemed to know every inch of the terrain, guiding him to hidden groves and sparkling pools. As evening approached, they made their way back to camp. Mia was waiting for them, a satisfied grin on her face. "Jack, I think I've got something. Come take a look." Jack and Lyra hurried over, peering at the screen. "What is it, Mia?" "I managed to piece together more of the data," Mia said, tapping the screen. "It looks like the anomaly that caused the crash was some kind of energy burst. It scrambled their systems and sent them plummeting." Jack frowned. "Energy burst? From what?" Mia shook her head. I don't know yet. But there's more. The data mentions a distress signal sent to Zathura before the crash. If we can boost our own transmitter, we might be able to send a message back. Jack's eyes widened. You think we can reach Zathura? Mia nodded. It's worth a try. We'll need to set up a stronger signal, but with the right equipment, it's possible. Jack glanced at Lyra, who was watching them intently. Well, girl, looks like we might be able to get you home sooner than we thought. They spent the next few days gathering materials and setting up the transmitter. Jack and Mia worked tirelessly, with Lyra always nearby, offering silent support. One afternoon, as they were adjusting the final components, Jack paused to wipe the sweat from his brow. Almost there. Just need to align the dish a bit more. Mia nodded, checking the readings. Good. Once we're ready, we'll send a test signal and see if we get a response. Jack climbed up to the dish, carefully adjusting its angle. All right, that should do it. Let's give it a shot. Mia powered up the transmitter, and Jack watched the readings anxiously. Come on, work. The screen flickered, then a green light appeared. Mia grinned. We're in business. Sending the signal now. They waited in tense silence, the seconds stretching into minutes. Just as Jack was beginning to lose hope, the transmitter beeped. Mia's eyes widened. We're getting a response. Jack leaned in, his heart pounding. What does it say? Mia read the message, her voice filled with excitement. It's a rescue ship from Zathura. They're on their way. ETA, 3 days. Jack let out a breath he didn't realize he'd been holding. 3 days. We did it, Lyra. We're getting you home. As they celebrated their success, Jack couldn't help but feel a mix of emotions. He was thrilled that Lyra would be able to return to her home planet, but he also knew he would miss her terribly. That evening, as they sat by the campfire, Jack looked at Lyra, his heart heavy. You know, Lyra, these past few weeks have been some of the best of my life. You've become my best friend. Lyra rested her head on his lap, her eyes filled with understanding and affection. Jack stroked her fur, feeling a lump in his throat. We're going to get you home, he whispered. And maybe, just maybe I can come with you. We'll see where the stars take us. The days passed quickly as Jack and Mia prepared for the arrival of the rescue ship. Every morning, Jack would wake up to find Lyra waiting for him, her tail wagging and her eyes bright with anticipation. Morning, girl Jack greeted her, rubbing sleep from his eyes. Excited for today? Lyra barked softly, nuzzling his hand. Jack chuckled, giving her a good scratch behind the ears. Yeah, me too. Let's get some breakfast and check in with Mia. After a quick meal, Jack and Lyra headed over to Mia's workstation. Mia was already busy, her face lit up by the screen's glow. Morning, Mia, Jack called out as he approached. Any news? Mia turned to face him, a big grin on her face. Morning, Jack. Actually, yes, I managed to decode more of the data from the recorder. It's fascinating. Jack leaned in, curious. What did you find? Well, Mia began, her excitement evident. It looks like the ship that crashed was part of a larger exploration fleet from Zathura. They were mapping new planets and studying different ecosystems. The records show they encountered some sort of energy anomaly, which caused their systems to fail and led to the crash. Jack frowned, scratching his chin. Energy anomaly? Any idea what caused it? Mia shook her head. Not yet, but I'm working on it. There's a lot of data to go through. But here's the interesting part: the ship's logs mention Lyra specifically. She wasn't just a pet, she was part of the crew. Jack's eyes widened. Part of the crew? How? It seems Lyra's species is highly intelligent, Mia explained. They have a natural ability to sense environmental changes and potential threats. They were essential for the exploration team's safety. Jack looked at Lyra with newfound admiration. You're amazing, you know that. Lyra wagged her tail, her eyes shining with pride. Jack smiled, feeling a deep bond with his extraordinary companion. Thanks, Mia. Keep digging through that data. Maybe we can find more clues about this anomaly, Jack said, patting Mia on the shoulder. Will do, Mia replied, turning back to her work. Jack and Lyra spent the rest of the day exploring the forest, as they often did. Jack couldn't help but think about the mystery of the energy anomaly and how it had changed both their lives. "Lyra, do you think the rescue ship will have answers about what happened?" Jack asked as they walked along a bubbling stream. Lyra looked up at him, her eyes filled with an emotion Jack couldn't quite place. He knelt beside her, stroking her fur gently. "I hope so," he murmured. "I just want to make sure you're safe and get you home." As the sun began to set, they made their way back to camp. Mia was waiting for them, her face lit up with excitement. "Jack, I found something else," she called out, waving them over. Jack hurried to her side, Lyra following closely. "What is it?" "I found a recording in the data logs," Mia said, her fingers flying over the keyboard. "It's from the captain of the ship. You need to see this." The screen flickered to life, showing a holographic image of an alien with kind eyes and a dignified presence. "This is Captain Zarek of the exploration vessel Horizon," the recording began. "If you are receiving this message, it means our mission has encountered a severe anomaly. Our systems have been compromised and we are unable to control the ship. We have sent a distress signal to Zathura, but our chances of survival are slim." Jack watched, his heart heavy. The captain continued, "Lyra, if you survive this crash, know that you are a valuable member of our team. Your abilities and loyalty are unmatched. We are proud of you. Stay strong and may you find your way home." The recording ended, leaving Jack and Mia in stunned silence. Jack felt a lump in his throat as he looked at Lyra. "Did you hear that, Lyra? You're not just special, you're a hero," he said softly. Lyra nuzzled his hand, her eyes reflecting the same sadness and determination Jack felt. He turned to Mia, his resolve firm. "We need to make sure she gets home, Mia. She deserves that much." Mia nodded, her expression serious. "We will, Jack. We're almost there. The rescue ship should arrive soon." The next morning, Jack and Lyra woke early, the air filled with anticipation. They spent the day preparing for the arrival of the rescue ship, making sure everything was in order. As the sun began to set, a faint hum filled the air. Jack looked up, his heart racing. "Mia, do you hear that?" Mia ran out of the tent, her eyes wide. "It's the rescue ship. They're here." The ship descended gracefully, its sleek design reflecting the last rays of sunlight. As it landed, a ramp extended, and a group of aliens emerged, their eyes scanning the area. One of them, a tall figure with an air of authority, stepped forward. "I am Commander Thal, here to retrieve Lyra and assist with any needs you may have." Jack stepped forward, Lyra by his side. "I'm Jack, and this is Lyra. She's been through a lot, but she's ready to go home." Commander Thal knelt down, his eyes softening as he looked at Lyra. "You've done well, Lyra. Your bravery is commendable." Lyra wagged her tail and Jack felt a surge of pride. "She's amazing. We've been trying to piece together what happened to her ship. There was some kind of energy anomaly." Commander Thal nodded. "Yes, we received the distress signal. The anomaly was an unexpected burst of energy from the planet's core. It disrupted their systems and caused the crash. We've been studying similar anomalies on other planets." Jack exchanged a look with Mia. "So it was just a freak accident?" "Indeed," Thal replied. "We have protocols to deal with such occurrences now. Lyra's ship was one of the first to encounter this phenomenon." Jack sighed with relief. "I'm glad we have some answers. And I'm glad Lyra is going home." Thal stood, extending a hand to Jack. "Thank you for taking care of her. Your kindness and dedication are appreciated." Jack shook his hand firmly. "It was my pleasure. She's a special dog." Thal turned to Lyra. "Are you ready to return, Lyra?" Lyra looked at Jack, her eyes filled with a mixture of emotions. Jack knelt beside her, his heart heavy. "You're going home, girl. But this isn't goodbye. I'll come visit you on Zathura, I promise." Lyra nuzzled him, and Jack felt a tear roll down his cheek. He stood, watching as Lyra followed Thal up the ramp. As the ship prepared to take off, Thal called out to Jack. "You're welcome on Zathura anytime, Jack. We owe you a debt of gratitude." Jack nodded, feeling a sense of closure. "Thank you, Commander. I'll see you soon." The ship lifted off, and Jack watched until it disappeared into the sky. He stood there for a long time, his heart full of mixed emotions. Mia placed a hand on his shoulder. You did a good thing, Jack. Lyra's going home. Jack smiled, his eyes still on the horizon. Yeah, and maybe, just maybe, I'll find a new adventure on Zathura. The days following Lyra's departure were strangely quiet for Jack. He missed the sound of her paws on the ground, her inquisitive eyes watching his every move. One morning, as he sipped his coffee, Mia walked into the tent, her face serious. Jack, we need to talk, she said, setting down a stack of papers. Jack looked up, raising an eyebrow. What's up, Mia? You look worried. Mia sighed, sitting down across from him. I've been going through the rest of the data we recovered from Lyra's ship. There's something you need to know. It's about the energy anomaly. Jack leaned forward, his interest piqued. What about it? Mia hesitated, then handed him a report. It wasn't just a random burst of energy. There are signs that it might have been artificially generated. Jack's eyes widened. You mean someone caused it? Mia nodded. Yes, and there are indications that a rival exploration team has been experimenting with similar energy bursts. They might be responsible for the anomaly that caused Lyra's ship to crash. Jack felt a surge of anger. So they're to blame for all of this. Do we know who they are? Mia bit her lip. I've identified a few leads. One name keeps coming up, Draven. He leads a team that's been known to push ethical boundaries. If they're behind this, it's likely they're still conducting experiments. Jack slammed his fist on the table. We have to stop them. If they're causing these anomalies, they're putting everyone at risk. Mia nodded. I agree, but we have to be careful. Draven's team is well-funded and well-armed. We'll need to gather evidence and find a way to shut them down. Jack stood, determination etched on his face. Let's get started. We owe it to Lyra and everyone else who might be in danger. They spent the next few days gathering intel, tracking down leads, and preparing for the confrontation. Jack couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched, but he pushed the thought aside. They had work to do. One evening, as they were poring over maps and data, Mia looked up, her face pale. Jack, I think we've been compromised. Jack's heart raced. What do you mean? Mia showed him her tablet. I've detected a signal. Someone's been monitoring our communications. They know what we're planning. Jack clenched his fists. Draven. He must have found out we're onto him. Just then, a loud noise echoed through the camp. Jack and Mia exchanged a glance, both reaching for their weapons. Stay close, Jack whispered, leading the way out of the tent. They moved cautiously through the camp, the shadows playing tricks on their eyes. Suddenly, a group of armed men appeared, blocking their path. Well, a voice drawled. Look who we have here. Jack's blood ran cold. Draven. Draven stepped forward, a smug smile on his face. You've been quite the thorn in my side, Jack. But it ends now. Jack stood his ground, his eyes burning with fury. You caused the crash. You're endangering lives with your experiments. Draven shrugged. Progress requires sacrifice. You of all people should understand that. Jack's grip tightened on his weapon. This isn't progress, it's madness. Draven's smile widened. Call it what you will. But you're not stopping me. Before Jack could react, Draven's men lunged at them. Jack fought back with everything he had, his thoughts flashing to Lyra and the promise he made to protect her. Mia fought beside him, her determination matching his own. They managed to overpower a few of Draven's men, but the fight was far from over. Jack and Mia retreated to a more defensible position, panting and bleeding. We need a plan, Mia said, her voice strained. Jack nodded, scanning their surroundings. We have to find a way to disrupt their operations. If we can destroy their equipment, they won't be able to continue their experiments. Mia's eyes lit up. The energy generator. If we can overload it, we can create a feedback loop that will destroy their entire setup. Jack grinned. Let's do it. They moved quickly, making their way to Draven's main base of operations. The closer they got, the heavier the resistance, but they pressed on. Finally, they reached the generator, a massive machine humming with power. Mia began working on the controls, her fingers flying over the buttons. I need a few minutes to set this up. Jack nodded. standing guard. I've got your back. Draven's men swarmed around them, but Jack fought them off, his mind focused on the task at hand. Time seemed to stretch as Mia worked, each second feeling like an eternity. Almost there, Mia muttered. Just a little longer. Jack glanced over his shoulder. Hurry, Mia, they're closing in. Mia's fingers flew even faster. Got it. Let's get out of here. They bolted from the room, the sound of the generator reaching a fever pitch behind them. As they ran, Jack felt the ground shake beneath his feet. They barely made it out of the building before it exploded in a blinding flash of light. Jack and Mia tumbled to the ground, covering their heads as debris rained down around them. When the dust settled, Jack looked up to see the ruins of Draven's base smoldering in the distance. We did it, Mia whispered, her voice filled with awe. Jack nodded, pulling her to her feet. Yeah, we did. As they made their way back to camp, Jack couldn't help but feel a sense of relief. They had stopped Draven and his experiments, but he knew their journey was far from over. We've got a lot of cleanup to do, Mia said, glancing around at the wreckage. Jack smiled. We'll get through it. Together. They spent the next few days repairing the camp and ensuring that Draven's men were dealt with. Jack couldn't shake the feeling of unease, but he pushed it aside. They had won a significant battle, and for now that was enough. One evening, as they sat by the fire, Mia looked at Jack, her expression serious. What's next for you, Jack? Jack stared into the flames, lost in thought. I don't know, Mia. I miss Lyra. I promised I'd visit her on Zathura, and I intend to keep that promise. Mia smiled. She's lucky to have you. You're a good man, Jack. Jack looked up, meeting her gaze. Thanks, Mia. I couldn't have done any of this without you. They sat in companionable silence, the crackling of the fire the only sound. As the stars twinkled above, Jack knew that whatever the future held, he was ready to face it. And with friends like Mia and the promise of seeing Lyra again, he felt a sense of hope and determination that he hadn't felt in a long time. The days after the battle with Draven's team were filled with rebuilding and reflection. Jack often found himself staring at the sky, thinking about Lyra and wondering how she was adapting back on Zathura. One morning, as he worked on reinforcing the camp's perimeter, Mia approached him, her expression thoughtful. Jack, you've been quiet lately. More than usual, Mia said, leaning against a tree. Jack paused, wiping sweat from his brow. Just thinking about Lyra. I miss her, and I'm worried about what might come next. Mia nodded, understanding. I get it. She was special. But you're going to see her again, right? On Zathura. Jack sighed. That's the plan. But it's not just about seeing her. I want to make sure she's safe, that she's happy. Mia smiled softly. You're a good friend, Jack. She's lucky to have you. As they continued their work, a familiar hum filled the air. Jack's heart skipped a beat as he looked up to see a sleek spacecraft descending toward their camp. Mia's eyes widened in surprise. Is that she began. Jack nodded, a smile spreading across his face. It's the Zathura rescue ship. They're back. The ship landed gracefully, and the ramp extended. Jack and Mia hurried over, their hearts pounding with anticipation. As the dust settled, Commander Thal emerged, followed closely by Lyra. Commander Thal. Lyra, Jack called out, his voice filled with excitement. Lyra bounded down the ramp, her tail wagging furiously. She leaped into Jack's arms, licking his face and nuzzling him affectionately. I missed you too, girl, Jack said, his voice choked with emotion. He looked up at Thal, gratitude in his eyes. Thank you for bringing her back. Thal nodded, his expression serious. Lyra insisted. And we have important news to share. Jack set Lyra down, his curiosity piqued. What is it, Commander? Thal gestured for them to follow. Let's talk inside. There's much to discuss. They gathered in the main tent, Lyra sitting at Jack's feet. Thal began to explain. After our return to Zathura, we continued to investigate the energy anomaly. We discovered that it was part of a larger network of experiments conducted by Draven's team. We've managed to shut down most of their operations, but there's still work to be done. Jack's jaw clenched. So there's still a threat. Thal nodded. Yes, we need your help to ensure that all remnants of their experiments are eradicated. Your knowledge of Veridian and the information you've gathered is invaluable. Jack glanced at Mia, who nodded in agreement. We're in. We'll do whatever it takes to stop them. Thal's expression softened. Thank you, Jack. Your courage and dedication are commendable. And Lyra, your loyalty has not gone unnoticed. You're both heroes to our people. Lyra barked softly, her eyes reflecting her determination. Jack smiled, feeling a surge of pride. We won't let you down. Over the next few days, they worked closely with Thal's team, sharing intel and planning their strategy. The bond between Jack and Lyra grew even stronger, their shared experiences forging an unbreakable connection. One evening, as they sat by the campfire, Thal approached Jack, his expression thoughtful. Jack, I've been thinking. After this mission, you should come to Zathura. Stay for a while. Learn about our culture. We could use someone with your skills and integrity. Jack looked at Lyra, then back at Thal. I'd like that. Lyra and I, we belong together. And I want to understand her world, her people. Thal smiled. You'll always have a place with us, and I think you'll find Zathura to be a remarkable place. As the night wore on, Jack found himself talking to Mia about their future. Once this is over, I'm going to Zathura. I want to see where Lyra came from, learn about her people. It feels like the right thing to do. Mia nodded, her eyes reflecting her support. I think it's a great idea, Jack. You've always been searching for something more, and maybe this is it. Just promise you'll stay in touch. Jack smiled. You know I will. And you should visit, too. I'm sure they'd love to meet you. As the days turned into weeks, their mission to dismantle Draven's remaining operations gained momentum. Jack and Lyra led the charge, their bond and teamwork inspiring everyone around them. They faced numerous challenges, but their determination never wavered. One afternoon, as they prepared for the final assault on Draven's main base, Thal gathered the team for a briefing. This is it. We've identified their central hub. Once we take it down, their entire network will collapse. Stay sharp, stay focused, and we'll come out of this victorious. Jack nodded, his eyes meeting Thal's. We're ready. Let's finish this. The operation was intense, but their combined efforts paid off. Draven's base was destroyed, and his team was captured. As the dust settled, Jack stood amidst the ruins, feeling a sense of relief and accomplishment. We did it, Mia said, coming to stand beside him. Jack nodded, his gaze shifting to Lyra, who was surveying the area with a keen eye. Yeah, we did. Thanks to all of us. As they made their way back to camp, Thal approached Jack, a smile on his face. You were remarkable out there, Jack. You and Lyra both. Your bravery and leadership were instrumental in our success. Jack smiled, his heart swelling with pride. Thank you, Thal. It means a lot coming from you. Thal's expression turned serious. Now it's time to fulfill your promise. Come to Zathura. See our world. You've earned it. Jack looked at Lyra, who barked in agreement. I'd love to. Let's get packed up and head out. As they prepared for their journey to Zathura, Jack felt a mix of excitement and anticipation. He knew that this was just the beginning of a new chapter in his life, one filled with endless possibilities and adventures. With Lyra by his side and the promise of new discoveries, Jack was ready to embrace whatever the future held.